Who should the Panthers take with the first overall pick? CJ Stroud or Bryce Young? The answer appears to be Bryce Young. But should it be? Let's take a look at both quarterbacks, starting with CJ Stroud. It wasn't even a month ago when CJ Stroud appeared to be their top choice. Panthers coaches were salivating at the NFL Combine, drooling even, watching Stroud make perfect throw after perfect throw. In particular, their QB coach, Josh McCown, compared Stroud to Joe Burrow. You might have heard of him. And challenged Stroud to a game of horse when he moves to Charlotte, aka the home of the Carolina Panthers. So what happened? How did their minds change when there were no games played between then and now? Rumor has it this has Panthers owner David Tepper's fingerprints all over it. It's unclear why he prefers Young to Stroud, but it also shouldn't matter. He's a hedge fund manager who so far has been a terrible NFL owner. You know, if you needed advice on how to short a publicly traded company and you wanted a crash course on how to manipulate the media, he'd be your guy. But apparently, it's not just him, it's also the NFL intelligentsia, who's not a fan of Stroud. The Texans, who are currently starting Davis Mills, are not going to draft a quarterback and will go for a defensive player just so they don't have to draft Stroud. An NFL owner liking some quarterback randomly because he watched a college game is one thing, but actual NFL people not liking him? What gives? Apparently it has something to do with an S2 cognition test. I read the description of what it is so you don't have to, and the elevator pitch is something like Wonderlic meets brain games meets video games. It's a little known test that's only being used actually by 14 teams in the NFL currently, but like most grifts, it's recently had some success. Apparently, Brock Purdy, aka Mr. Irrelevant, scored very well, which obviously means now we shouldn't bother scouting and just look at the S2 results. Bryce Young, on the other hand, was believed by some to be falling down boards just a month ago. That was thanks to looking swole at the Combine, weighing in at 204 pounds. He was so full of water weight, he decided against throwing the football there. But of course, judging him then wasn't really wise. At 5'10 and 1/8 and probably under 200 pounds, Young is a small and slight quarterback who lacks foot speed for his size. His pro day 40 was over 4.5, but his measurables do belie a talented quarterback. Taking a look at his tape, you can see that he knows how to deal with the kind of bad stuff that quarterbacks deal with at the NFL level. Young definitely knows how to navigate an unclean pocket and create plays out of nothing. His creativity in particular is the hallmark of his game. Beyond the tape, he also showed that he performed quite well with less talent than Alabama is usually accustomed to. Thanks to all that, teams have overlooked his size and kept him as a consensus number 1 pick. Should he be? Or do the Panthers and the NFL have it wrong? If they do, it wouldn't be the first time. Look no further than to Tua Tagovailoa for that. Coming into the NFL, there's a good chance Tua would have gone first overall, even over Joe Burrow, but he had a hip injury that hurt his evaluation that year. Though even with the hip injury, he managed to get selected ahead of Justin Herbert. The reason for all the hype that Tua had, and that got him selected over a far more physically talented quarterback than Herbert, was thanks to his superior college resume. Coincidentally, some have argued that Bryce Young was even better than Tua in some ways. Like Tua, he doesn't have the size or speed of other prospects. And like Tua, his success at the next level will require the perfect situation. Tua's first 2 seasons in the NFL were underwhelming. In his third, he flashed some pretty good potential. That improvement coincided with the arrival of coach Mike McDaniel. But even then, Tua couldn't even take advantage of the opportunity because of the repeated injuries he was suffering. And even if Bryce Young was better than him in college, are we to expect anything different? Like Tua, he doesn't have breakaway speed to run away from defenders. He's also going to need a perfect offensive line, great receivers, and a great coach. Basically, he's going to need a lot of things to go right. Quite frankly, that S2 test that he scored on in the 97th percentile, it won't matter much when his team sucks and needs to will them to victory. And that's why I like CJ Stroud more, regardless of his S2 scores, and who knows how accurate they are, by the way. I know he has one elite trait that I can lean on, and that's accuracy, which, not to be too glib, is pretty important the last time I checked. Not to mention, if Stroud finds himself in a place where there's a great offensive line and great receivers and a great coach, I feel like he'll probably succeed regardless of his scores. So in other words, when all things are equal, I'd rather go for the guy with similar athleticism, a better overall arm, and better size to withstand the physical nature of the NFL game. Size does matter when it comes to the NFL.